How do you use ready-made videos at your church? We'll talk about it today. Hey ministry leader, you may have no team at your church that creates visual media content. You may have a team, but they might be completely slammed, or you might be on staff or a volunteer at your church that is overwhelmed with all the media needs at your church. Well, this podcast is for you. We're doing it just for you. Today we're talking about video. The stats on video are astounding. Get this. In 2023, according to Vidyard, people are watching on average at least 17 hours of video per week. 17 hours. That's almost a day. An entire day of your week that the average person is consuming video. People watch videos for 84 minutes every single day worldwide. Videos are twice as likely to be shared than any other type of content. The average video retention rate for videos across the board is 54%. So if you're using a video, over half of people are watching the whole thing. They're staying with it. The bottom line is this: we consume video. Our culture is consuming video at an astounding rate. So how do we use video in our church to visually communicate the gospel? How can we use mini movies, motion backgrounds, series media, worship videos, and other types of ready-made media to visually communicate the gospel message? We'll jump into that and more right after this. Hey pastors, I know that budgets are tight right now, which is why the Easter early order sale at outreach.com can really help. Right now you can get the lowest prices ever on new Easter banners for your church. Update the inside of your building with a 2x6 indoor banner and stand for just $59. Or promote your services outside with a custom 3x8 outdoor banner for just $48.30. But you have to act fast. This offer ends February 2nd, so visit outreach.com today. Hey guys, Shake and Carl here. We are hanging out at Children's Pastors Conference in Orlando. And in this episode of the show, we are talking to members of our video team at Church Visuals. We got Matthew Graham, we got JT Cheek, we got Ryan McMacken, and us two.
That's right. We're both there as well.
We are there as well.
Yeah.
Tell us what we talk about.
Well, so in this episode, we're going to go over all the different sorts of products that we have on churchvisuals.com. So countdowns, mini movies, series media, games, theme packs. You're going to hear not only a description of what those products are, but you're going to get to hear from the people that create them. So you're going to get a behind the scenes look at our process.
Great conversation with our video team right now. The gang is all here. Video team members from our Church Visuals team hanging out. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
What's up?
All right, Shake, I said this before we started recording. It is your job in this time that we have to bring the fun. You have to bring the energy. It's all of you.
Well, I'm serious about my job. So, you know what, if that's what's being placed upon me, if that's the burden that I have to carry, then I'm more than willing to do so. Yeah, and able, of course.
Well, we're holding you responsible. If this one's not fun and entertaining, we're blaming you. It's all your fault.
Okay. All right.
So any jokes that I tell, if they fall flat, it's Shake's fault?
It's Shake's fault.
Well,
Absolutely.
I get credits for everybody's joke, right? Because ultimately I'm creating the kind of ambiance.
No,
I don't. Well, man,
you don't get credit, but you do get the failure.
Yeah, you get all the blame. All the blame.
Oh, okay.
That's right. That's right.
I see. It's a teacher situation.
That's right. Well,
exactly.
This is going to be a fun one. We wanted to get together some of our video team members to hang out to kind of talk through really how to use ready-made videos. So, but first, let's kind of introduce you guys. Maybe talk about where you live. We're all remote working on the team. because if I had to live near Shake and work right in the same building, I don't know.
It would be a joy.
It'd be a blessing in disguise. All right, Matthew, you want to go first? Kind of tell us where you live and a little bit about what you do on the team.
Yeah. I'm Matthew. I live in the Dallas area, and I'm on the team as the director of Ready Made. So I get to just help serve the team by looking at the process and structure and all the fun back end stuff, and then also just working with Shake and our video producers on bringing projects from concept to completion.
Yeah. All right, Shake, you're up.
All right, so my name is Shake. I am the creative director for Ready Made. So I get to shepherd our designers and video people, and I'm a shoulder to cry on. I'm a life coach to them. I'm whatever they need me to be. Ultimately, I'm here for them. And then I'm also one of our video producers. And I live in Central Florida. Although I am in transition, I'm currently in Davenport, Florida, but as of next week, I'll be in Lakeland, Florida, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, awesome. JT, bring it, man. We're all envious of the JT beard. I mean,
of course.
Yeah, the beard's not real. No, I'm kidding.
We've all been duped.
My name's JT. I live in Valdosta, Georgia. If you're heading south in Georgia, that's the last stop you'll hit before you get to Florida. I am a video producer at Church Visuals, working with the Ready Made team, working with the custom team, getting to take Shake's crazy vision and turn it into real life. So,
yeah. All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm also in the Dallas area, like Matthew. I'm more in East Texas, small town area, though. So recently moved back to my hometown. Yay for my wife and my family. But anyway, I'm a video producer. I'm here to shake out what Shake has given to us, pun intended. And that's my job. Make the magic happen.
Yeah. Well, you guys are amazing. Wanted to some of you guys have, JT, you've especially been with us for a while, but wanted to kind of get us together and just kind of define some terms here, and also kind of walk through how ministry leaders can use ready-made videos, especially. So, Matthew, why don't you get us started here? Maybe kind of define what we mean when we're talking about ready-made videos.
Yeah, so when we say ready-made, we're talking about it is plug and play. You get on the website, you download the product, and plug it into your presentation software, hit play, and you're ready to go. So the team has really thought through kind of every angle of that product, that asset, and how it can best serve you in your live environment. So out of the box, ready to go.
Why don't you walk us through? So there's several products on the site. Yeah. On our site that really heavily involve video. Now, some of them have some graphics as well, and we did another podcast episode with members of our graphic design team. But why don't you walk through, Matthew, maybe some of the products that include video?
For sure. We have about a half a dozen different product types. So on the website, you'll see them laid out there. We got mini movies, theme packs, series media, countdowns, social media, and then worship videos. And we can kind of talk through each of those line by line and give you all some details on what each of those categories entail here in the next several minutes.
Yeah, so let's kind of walk through each, and also want to maybe we'll do a little screen share to kind of show you some projects that we've worked on so that you can kind of see what we mean. But Shake, why don't you get us started on mini movies? So maybe let's first define what is a mini movie.
Sure. So a mini movie are videos that can serve in different capacities in your church service. They're typically between 30 to 60 seconds long. We've got some that are a little bit longer, and they're really meant to set up the theme, your biblical truth for what you're preaching on or what the service is gonna revolve around.
Yeah. So where are some places that a pastor would place that in their worship experience?
It really depends obviously on what you're trying to create, the experience that you're trying to create for your congregation. Most often I've seen pastors use it right before their sermons as kind of a sermon bumper. You could also use it to open up your service, so as soon as that countdown hits 0, it goes into the mini movie. And our mini movies really are designed to be impactful. So they are a great lead in to a worship set. But ultimately they're so multifaceted that you can use them in different spots in your service.
Matthew, you've served in like service producer capacities at churches and stuff like that. You want to speak to that, where pastors and ministry leaders, churches have used mini movies in different ways in services?
Yeah, I think Shake summed up several of them really well. Like I think a great place to use them is kicking off a service. Sometimes we try to bring variety to ways to open up a service. Doesn't always just have to be the highest energy song or something out of the gate. And so sometimes a mini movie can really help set the table, because you'll find in our mini movies we really lean into scripture, obviously scripture based, but themes throughout scripture represented. Often are the content for these mini movies that just provide a great on-ramp, whether into the top of the service or, like Shake said, often maybe in that kind of sermon bumper slot, just to help set the table.
JT, you've made a lot of these. Is there anything that you're thinking of? So kind of how our process works is Matthew and Shake on our team kind of set the vision for, here's a script and here's fonts and music and kind of a direction that we're headed. And you kind of, like you mentioned earlier, kind of take that vision to life and kind of, piece it together in a way that you're envisioning. What are some maybe things that you're thinking about when you're creating a mini movie? Is there things that are going through your mind, or ways that maybe you're wanting to serve ministry leaders better as you create those?
I guess I'm thinking, trying to imagine, looking at what the vision of the video is, and then maybe trying to think about what is the energy or the mood of this piece. Maybe try to envision it being used in a service. Like, is it a worship opener that's supposed to get us started and get us excited about moving into a time of community worship, or is it something that's maybe going to go before the sermon? Is it dealing with maybe a more contemplative subject? So I guess I try to, as much as I can, envision maybe how I would use it in a service, and try to see in my head how maybe other ministry leaders would use it.
So, Shake, I'm going to bring up, I think you guys can see my screen here. So I'm going to bring up just one mini movie that you worked on recently. I'll just kind of play it a little bit with the sound off, but maybe kind of walk me through your process here. This one's kind of a simpler one. But kind of walk me through your process of what you were thinking on this one.
Yeah, so this is one that I made called Why We Give, and it's part of a series that we're doing where we're going over different aspects of the Christian life. So this one is giving. We're also doing one this month called Why We Go, and there's a couple more coming through the pipeline. And really it all kind of starts with this idea, and ultimately the heart of that idea is, how can we help pastors and church leaders communicate some truth to their congregation. So in this case, it's about giving, and we have a writer on our team who, once that initial vision is in place, the writer will put together a script. This one has some voiceover that goes to some of our voiceover talent. And then as a creative director, I kind of pull the pieces together, the footage and music and all those things, to kind of take all these elements and combine it into one. And then as the video producer on this project, as the person who made the video, it's all about thinking through how each piece will be received. So one of those little like nitpicky things that we as video producers go through is even the length of the text, how long each piece of text will be on screen, and thinking through that to really make as much of an impact as possible and to help people get these concepts as well as possible. And it's fun to watch these things go from an idea to the script and narration, voiceover process, and then to see the finished project. Whether whether I'm the one that's finishing it out, or it's Ryan or JT or one of the other guys on our team. It's such a cool process, and to know that folks have used these videos or will use these videos. It's really incredible to think about the impact that Church Visuals is having, on churches around the world.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking of a couple of custom clients that we work with, like Answers in Genesis, for instance. We'll make a mini movie or products for them, and that will go inside their VBS that's hitting 30, 40,000 churches just with one project that we work on, which is just mind-boggling to think about, and humbling too. And I want folks to know that, ministry leaders to know that we do not take that lightly at all, knowing that we are helping you communicate the gospel to your people. And so we take it very seriously, how we're doing the scripting to making sure that it's theologically correct. We are making sure that, there's not too much text on screen so that your people can actually read it and absorb that content. So things like you were saying, Shake, that we're really intentional about. Matthew, do you want to speak to that? So kind of how our process goes is Shake is working with the team to kind of package it and ready it for you to kind of give it a final approval on the ready-made side. Maybe what are some things that you're looking for as you give that stamp of approval to send it out and deliver it everywhere? Maybe some things that you're looking for that might be missing, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, this project was actually a great example of that. So we were like right there, last curve on the lap, approaching the finish line, and there was just something that wasn't quite there. And we realized after talking about it and kicking around a couple ideas, we said, hey, let's add a voiceover to this. Now, with the mini movies for the context of our adult, weekend gatherings, we don't always have voiceovers with those like we would maybe with our kid products and stuff like that. But so this was really produced up to the finish line without a VO. And so it's just those types of details that really our whole team is really leaned in and trying to just figure out that ultimate impact, the best impact that our products can have in your worship environments. And so for this example, it was like, hey, let's add a VO. And as you guys, look at this piece on the website, check it out with the final VO on it. It was really just that kind of that final layer that really just brought the whole thing together. And so it's all of those details, whether it's a video whether it's VO or pacing a little bit, like Shake said, we talk a lot about pacing. Sometimes I'll just come in and I say, hey guys, this is great. Let's just add a little more breath to it and slow down the pacing a little bit. And so it's just the the minutia and those fine details of really trying to hone in products to make sure we're delivering top-notch quality product to you all.
So I'm gonna hit on. Go ahead, Shake.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say it's interesting. When I was in full-time ministry, as a pastor or as somebody who is leading a service, you're constantly editing, up to the point where it's on stage, it's being edited, stepping out of full-time ministry. This is my ministry now. This is our ministry, is we create these visual products, these media products to communicate through video, what in the past I would have done on stage, and it's the change is that it has to go out as a product fully formed, and that's kind of the pressure that's on us as media producers and as the ideators of these products, is that we want to create a complete ministry moment knowing that we don't, as soon as it goes up on the site, it has to be 100% ready for your church, so it's a different kind of pressure, but it's fun to compare it to what it was like, what the pressures were for me as a full-time minister, as a pastor.
Good. All right, I'm going to pull another one up here. Ryan, this is one that you worked on. I'll kind of play it with the sound off, and we can put it up on screen in this episode as well. But Ryan, this one's whereas this previous one was very simpler, maybe a little bit more traditional in nature. This one is a little bit crazier, a little bit more modern. You kind of want to walk me through your thinking here?
Yeah, the idea was to communicate, I believe it was Psalm 66, through this. This is a worship opener, although, one of the things that both Shake and Matthew were talking about, the different places that you can use an opener. Sometimes you can use it to set up a song. Maybe you have a song that's using some of the parts of Psalm 66 that you can use this video to then go into a song. But we wanted something that was really going to be attention grabbing, something that's really going to catch your eye. And in a way, something that you almost want to watch multiple times, because every time you watch it, there's extra stuff to see. That's usually one of my favorite things to do when I'm making a video is I want to make something that every time you see it, you see something new that you didn't see the first time in it. But at the same time, the challenge with it was, how do I make sure that you can effectively communicate this Bible verse, this section of scripture, with only watching it one time? Because there's a lot of stuff happening constantly going through that. And so, one of the things that we do when we're making videos a lot it's that readability. It's, making sure, can I actually read what's on the screen? Is it up there for a long enough time? It's easy for me sometimes to be like, well, I can read it, but I've been looking at it for a few hours, so of course I can read it. Can the person who's sitting in the room actually be able to do that? But we wanted something that was going to be modern, that was going to be fun, and that was really going to help, set a tone for whether it's a worship, whether it's used as an opener, whether it's used as a setup for a song, or whether, you're preaching on Psalm 66 and, you want to use it to set up that way. Everything that we're doing is trying to convey some sort of emotion, right? Like that's, when I'm making something, a lot of what I'm trying to think about is, what is the final emotion that I want the person on the receiving end to feel when they see this? So that was, a lot of what was going through my mind as we made it.
Speaking of emotion, I think your coffee's ready.
Is it? No.
No,
Sorry. Yeah, this is
no, I'm just kidding.
I think on an artistic level too, it really speaks to the talent that we have on our team. That I have my sort of mood boards with all my inspiration stuff, and I'm constantly adding to it based on the stuff that these guys put together. This one, as soon as Ryan finished it, I was like, oh, that's going on my board.
Yeah. All right, JT, let's kind of move from mini movie to theme pack. So theme pack is, we kind of start with a main design, and we build that out into different graphics pieces and then video pieces. So I want to kind of zero in on the video elements of this. So I'm going to pull up one that you have worked on before, and that is one called Starlight. So when it comes down to your computer, once you download it, it will look kind of similar to this on your computer, where you have different graphics and video files. JT, you want to kind of walk us through a couple of these and what you were thinking on Starlight?
Yeah, Starlight was this was a fun project to work on. Basically taking, I guess you could call it that hyperspace sort of look that you might see in the movies, and doing different takes on color, positioning, things like that. I obviously imagine stuff like this being used definitely for during worship, during songs, maybe even where we're talking about God's creation, the bigness of God. I think it can add a big epic feel to whatever portion of the service you're using it in. This one that I worked on was a theme pack that I think is a little more background heavy as opposed to pre-built motions, which is, I think, is super helpful for the ministry leader, being able to basically have a pack of stuff like this just in their arsenal that they can pull from and put, lyrics on top of it, or even, sermon notes or announcements. But we also have, some useful sort of pre-built motions, the welcome motion, closing motion, countdown, and things like that.
So walk me through, as I kind of show some of this, we're pretty strict on motion backgrounds particularly. We have some kind of rules that we follow. Kind of walk me through some of those. So for instance, we want them at least 30 seconds most of the time. We want them to seamlessly loop. Like, walk me through a couple of things like that.
Well, the biggest thing, like you mentioned there at the end, is the seamless loop. And it might not be something that you as a ministry leader, when you're just wanting to put something up on screen that's going to add to your worship environment, you may not be thinking about that element. That's kind of one of the little details we're constantly thinking about. And basically the first frame and the last frame have to be the same. If it's not, then you're going to have this awkward cut happening every time that footage loops. The trick with backgrounds, I think, is it adds to the environment. It's not necessarily, in my mind, a lot of times supposed to be the focus of the environment. So it's supposed to add to the atmosphere, supposed to draw you in, but it's not at the same time supposed to be distracting. So seamless loop obviously applies there, but even things like, what's the motion doing? Is it too fast? Is it too jarring? Or do we have smooth motion? Are the colors distracting? Is it too, are they going to be able to put text on it and the text be readable? All these things are like little details that I enjoy working on, because I've seen firsthand, when it's service time, how much the ministry leader is all over the place, and they don't need to be thinking about, hey, do all the loops that we have, are they seamlessly looping, or is the text readable on everything? They just need to be, as Matthew said earlier, able to just plug in and go. So I like being able to work on those small details, so these ministry leaders that I know whose job is so important are able to focus on what they need to.
Matthew, what about things like leaving blank space, where to put blank space at in motion backgrounds? How does that help worship leaders or tech guys or pastors with things?
Yeah, I think, some I've always told with our teams is like, hey, if you're using a background for lyrics versus sermon content, but either scenario really, but we always use the phrase like lyric is king. Like, the lyric is carrying the message. It is the heart of the moment. And so, like JT, all of us are in agreement in saying, like, the motion background is simply a layer to add in, never to distract. And so we always are very intentional with the design and the layout of all of these products to make sure we're carving out space, literally for whether it's 2-line lyrics set up or sermon notes, or even like our lower thirds, as we saw you clicking through those. Like, we are here, the products we're bringing to you is to support the message of what you're carrying to your people. So there's a lot of intentionality and detail that goes into that.
How about, Matthew, you've worked in a service producer capacity, like I was saying, and you see you're seeing how the room works together with each other. Walk me through maybe how motion backgrounds mix with lighting and those types of things. How are you thinking through those pieces? And what should ministry leaders be thinking about?
Mm-hmm. Motion backgrounds, in my mind, like, they are hand in hand with lighting. And so if you're in an environment where you have some lighting design capabilities, like, those two have to be hand in hand and really coordinated. So that's why when we release these different products, and, like Ryan's piece, so obviously several where we're creating high intentionality, high energy, those types of things, and then some that are more subdued. but all of those go hand in hand to support, again, the message of the moment, and really plays into lighting in particular, because these backgrounds, whether they're moving or static or whatever, but just they're simply a piece. They're simply a corner of the canvas, of the entire canvas that the room is experiencing. So they never need to stand out in and of themselves, and always just add to. So can't overemphasize or overstate enough about how that goes in tandem with your lighting design in particular.
Yeah, good. All right, Shake, let's move into series media. So I'm going to share a little bit of a project that we worked on called Fresh Off the Vine. I'll just kind of throw some things on screen here. Why don't you kind of talk through the series media product, maybe what's included in each and how we're building those out for ministry leaders?
Yeah, of course. Well, the idea for these series media products is that they are essentially a complete package for everything, every piece of video that you would need for a series. What's so great about these two is that we've had so many comments from ministry leaders and pastors who are having a hard time coming up with a series, with their next series or a series down the line. And then they're on the Church Visuals website, and they see a series like this, and that kind of gives them the spark that they need to kind of know where to go in their next series or series down the line. So each one of our series media contains sermon bumpers. We've got different trailers. So some of them say that the series is starting next week or in 2 weeks. There are countdowns. There are motions with all the titles that you need. So welcome, closing. We've got countdowns. I may have said countdowns already. And then we've got blanks. We've got social media content, stuff that really can be used not only in the room or Sunday morning, but also can help you communicate with your church, with your congregation through social media.
Yeah. So once I download a series media collection, let's just say, how can I use, Matthew, you might be able to speak to this, and Shake, you alluded to it. How do I use these pieces both in my service and to promote my series? I mean, these are visuals to help you across the board.
They really are. And that's why I love this product, because what our team has been able to do is hopefully provide you on the user end with, again, it's really a one-stop shop, as the entire product line is, but the series media in particular, it covers everything that a communications department through a production and video team would provide a local church if they were serving on staff in that capacity. And so everything from all the social mentions that Shake was talking about. So we're really wanting to even provide you with products that you'll use before the execution of that gathering to help promote it and draw your crowd in on social media. And so that's where you're going to see all of these assets that have been, designed in the different formats to help you get the word out and start the communication even leading up to an event. Or maybe it's the in-service, the promo pieces, the trailer versions of the bumper that we're giving you to roll out. Maybe it's your announcement slot at the end of the previous week leading into the series, So we really tried to come through every angle of the programming and communication process. And that's really what the series media package is. It's trying to hand you all the components that we could think of that you might need to help draw a crowd in, and then to help provide them a well-rounded, cohesive, thematic experience while they're there at the gathering.
Good. All right. So Ryan, let's hit on the last kind of product line. And that is countdowns that include video. So I'm just going to play one here. You want to kind of walk through, and this is just one example of a lot of countdowns, a variety of countdowns that we have on the website. You want to walk through kind of how we build countdowns out?
Well, one of the things that I'm thinking about when I do a countdown is knowing that, we're doing a standard 5-minute countdown. So I'm thinking about somebody who might actually be watching all 5 minutes of this countdown video, which I know is kind of rare to an extent because you're talking to your neighbor, you're walking around, whatever. But I'm trying to make it, not as repetitive as it possibly could be over the course of 5 minutes. I want something that's visually intriguing, that's visually interesting. Which I love this one. Like, this one's got so much stuff going on. Like, I could sit and just watch it for 5 straight minutes. But we're looking at everything's about trying to get somebody prepared for worship, prepared to start the service. And that's where the importance of something like a countdown can come in. Sometimes it can help gather people from outside, maybe in your atrium or your lobby. I don't know if other churches have this problem, but I'm going to bet that they do. People tend to hang out and congregate ahead of time, and they don't really want to start whenever you want to start. That happened a lot to me when I was a worship pastor, when I was a creative pastor, your first song sometimes gets referred to as a throwaway song because that's what's actually getting people to get into the worship center to begin with. And that's where things like countdowns really began in the first place, that, hey, come on into the service so we don't have to have a throwaway song, so we, can actually get you ready and prepared for worship. There's something to be said for actually taking a moment to still your heart, to kind of let everything become ready for you to worship. I don't know that you can walk into the room right after you've dropped your kids off, right after your spouse, everything that you're doing to get ready, and then be like, oh, I'm instantly just turning into worship mode. It doesn't really work that way. We need to have some time where we prepare our heart, and that's what, we want to do. That honestly, it sounds like there's a more grandiose plan, with the countdown, but that's what it does. That's what it can really help you to do. And even with some of the countdowns that we have alpha channel countdowns too, that you can put them on top of other things so that you can use them maybe in other places in your service. I was trying to think of creative ways that you could use them. And, one of the things that actually came to my mind is you can use them to tell your parents when they need to go pick up their children. Here's the countdown for, you've got to go get your children now at the end of the service.
Yeah.
But the countdown, it seems like a simple thing, but there's a lot of thought that actually goes into it, of making sure that people aren't totally bored by it, making sure that people aren't distracted by it. And one of the things that a lot of what we've all been talking about today, one of the things that we like about Ready Made in general, there's a cohesion there. And that's what we're looking for throughout our entire service, is that everything fits together. Not everything has to look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. One thing I think all of us do as creators, we try to invert our secondary and tertiary colors so that there are things that work well together that look like they're all in the same palette, but it's not just the exact same background over and over and over again, because we want that experience from social media before you show up to worship service, all the way through worship service to going home, to have a cohesive element to it that really shows that we have been intentional about what we're doing, that we're absolutely thinking about what we're doing. And I think that's just, we're wanting to honor God and give our best and do our best with everything that we do that way. And having a service that's not disjointed, having a service that really feels like there was thought behind it, is important to us. And so really, I think that's where it even begins. Like I said, begins before the service even starts with social media, but even with things like countdowns.
Yeah, good. JT, you've done a lot of these, and you've done different types of them, whether that's trivia or other things. Maybe walk me through either a couple that you've thought of, or maybe some different ways that we've done countdowns that people can, that it's not just necessarily numbers on screen, but they can use them in different ways.
Yeah, so we have, like you mentioned, sometimes in the form of a game, like some sort of trivia game. I believe the one that I got the biggest kick out of was Bieber or Bethel? That was a countdown, right?
Yeah.
Countdown game. So that, as the countdown's going, they put a lyric up, and you guess whether the lyric was from Justin Bieber or from Bethel Church. So that was a fun one. So that's a good way, I think, to get people in. And I think what Ryan brought up was a good point. We try to make the 5-minute countdowns with the intentionality of, if somebody was in the service sitting down watching it for the whole time, would they be engaged? And those few people that make it in early for the worship service, when they're sat down, that's usually what they're looking at. And I find that a lot too with like first time guests who may make it into the sanctuary early. They're going to be looking at whatever's on the screen. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways I think that you can obviously, we can do it through putting up a a lot of cool imagery. You can do it through a game. We can do it through, quotes thrown up every so often. So there's a lot of ways that we look at making a countdown, not just, like you said, numbers on a screen, because you could do that on ProPresenter, but actually an engaging experience.
Yeah, good. All right, Shake, as we kind of close today, what are some ways, and we've mentioned a few, but what are some ways that we're helping ministry leaders save time? What are some ways that we're really thinking through how you're using it in these things, countdowns, mini movies, series media, theme packs, how you're using this stuff in your space and how we're thinking of you? Anything else you can think of?
Well, I think that one of our sort of core values at Church Visuals is we want to empower church leaders, ministry leaders, to create an experience for their congregation, for their church that is bigger than what their budget would allow. That we want their ministry experience to look as good as anything anywhere on the planet, no matter what size church, no matter what kind of budget. So I think that for us, what we bring to the table is we'll take care of the look. We'll take care of what you see on screen, what it feels like when people walk in the room, and really, I think, give the minister, give the pastor, give the ministry leader the opportunity to focus on what they do, whether it's sharing the message, whether it's leading in worship. We ultimately want to maximize their time, maximize their potential, and we'll take care of that stuff that, to be honest, there's not a lot of incredible church media creators. It's hard to find people that are creating content, creating media that's amazing, and it's possible that you've got folks in your church that are doing stuff that's unbelievable. But the reality is most churches struggle with that. Most churches have a hard time finding people like that. So when I was in ministry, I was either a youth pastor or a kids pastor, but no matter what church I was a part of, I always found myself kind of creating stuff for the media team, because it's hard to find people that create stuff. So what we want to do is we want to take that burden off of the church and allow them to look amazing, but deliver the message, deliver the gospel in the way that only they can in their community and to their congregation.
Yeah, I want to really land on that, Matthew, if you would, is how we're not just about looking incredible, though we do that. We do help you look incredible at your church and save a whole lot of time. But ultimately, we're really helping you, ministry leader, communicate the gospel to your people. So you want to kind of end this there, Matthew?
Yeah, I think about I think about the art form itself, right? Visuals telling the gospel story. You think about cathedrals in Europe that have been around for centuries. So like this art form has existed for hundreds and thousands of years, but we're leveraging current day technology to help bring that same principle to the local church. And what's incredible about this team and this ministry as we see it, Church Visuals, is that we're able to partner with the local church so that you guys can do only the thing that you can do. Let us work on resources. Let us work on developing content and ideas and making it pretty and polished so that it's a quality product that we're proud of, that you're proud of, and that will draw people to Jesus. I mean, that's the ultimate goal in all of it. But really allowing you that margin to be the boots on the ground that I can't go in Dallas, Texas, whether we're in Texas or Georgia or Florida or Carolina, we can't go do that. That's the stuff that only you can do. And so it's our prayer that really just our resources that this team's able to provide you helps assist you in doing that.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you guys so much. And I know that all of you are a huge part of making sure that the visuals really do matter at the churches that we serve, with the ministry leaders that we serve. Your visuals matter because, just like you said, Matthew, the gospel matters. It's not just about looking great just to look great. It's about looking great so that you can communicate the gospel. We know that a graphic doesn't save. We know that a video doesn't save. It's the Holy Spirit that does the saving. But hopefully, the visual content can provide you, the ministry leader, a tool to use for people to connect with the gospel, and we'll give you tools to use to communicate it well. So that's our prayer and our goal. So I hope that today hasn't seemed like an infomercial. That's not our intent here. Our intent was to kind of go through each product and kind of talk through how you can use them in your context, because we're partners in ministry. So thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate this insight, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Carl.
Hey, ministry leaders, it's Angie Lomas, and I'm the lead designer at Church Visuals. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that what you are doing matters, and you're doing a great job. It's easy to forget that sometimes when you're busy working through your task list, but you're doing a great job. It's such a joy to be able to design products for you and your church to be able to visually communicate the gospel in the most attractive way possible. Keep up the great work. What you're doing matters, and your church visuals matter. We're praying for you. We're behind you. We're cheering you on, and it's such a joy to be able to partner with you.
Hey, ministry leader, here's your church visuals tip of the week. Use video at your church. Very simple. Video, video, video. All the stats confirm it. Everything confirms video is the way that we're consuming media. So you need to use video in your worship experience, on your website, on your social media, everywhere. All right, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that like button, and leave a comment if you would. If you want to reach the people you want to reach for Jesus, your visuals matter. I'll see you next week. Your Visuals Matter has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals. Executive produced by Carl Barnhill, edited by AJ Schubert, title and show graphics by Angie Lomas. For more resources to help you visually communicate the gospel, visit churchvisuals.com.